Hi there, and welcome to this training video for the Basic Needs program in Nova. As Basic Needs is now in Nova, the first thing that everyone will need is a Nova account. To get one of those, if you don't have one already, go to nova.cccco.edu and then go down here and click on Request Access to Nova. Put in your employer. Let's say I'm with Cabrillo College. Make sure to choose Basic Needs for the program, and then these project activities down here. This will tell the help desk that's setting up your account that you need basic needs and you need the ability to do project plans. Go down here, and we're going to hit Add this request. And that's going to send a request to the help desk. They're going to set you up an account. You go an email from the system, and then you'll be able to log in. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm not going to log into Real Nova. I'm going to use our sandbox environment. Same thing, but this is our testing and demo environment. So I'm going to log in here. On the left-hand side, you'll see Programs. Go down to Basic Needs and click Plans. Now under Plans, you'll see a long list. You'll see a bunch of colleges, and notice that every college has two. We'll get to why in a second, but first things first. Let's say I was with the College of San Mateo. College of San Mateo has two plans in here. The reason for that is because this year there is two funding sources for basic needs. We do need to keep them separate to report, which is why they are treated separately here. However, if you look at the plans, you'll notice this one-time plan includes 4 sections and has this basic needs strategic program plan section in it. And the other fund, called Centers and Coordinator Support, only has details and contacts. And that's because while we are trying to keep the finances of these separate and we are asking you to track your spending on each one separate, we do want you to plan for them together. So when we're talking about the strategic plan included in the one-time plan here, these questions and your responses really should apply to your entire program for the year. So let's look back again at College of San Mateo, and if I were going in here and I'd want to fill out that main plan for the year, I'd go in here and I'd get started. A few things to point out: there's 4 sections on the side. It's the workflow. There's this guidance section on most of the tabs. You click that button, it drops down some helpful information. And also up here on the right-hand side, you can see what we call the error stepper. This tells us how many things we have left to do on the page. Details, all we really have to do are these 2 assurances down here, so it's telling us 2 errors. But as soon as I click them, those go away. Contacts is the next tab. Make sure to check the guidance text. Project lead contact, plan approver, and fiscal report approver are all Nova roles. They're kind of generic between programs. And this tells you who at your school, college, should be taking these roles. So for the project lead, that's the person that's going to be filling out this plan, filling out the reports. That's likely your basic needs director or coordinator. The plan approver, that's the person when you submit this plan with all the answers in there. They will be doing the final approval. And then your fiscal report approver, that is going to be the person that approves things from your budget office as the final check before expense reports are submitted. So we'll get to more of what those roles do later, but for now let's talk about how to enter them. So because I'm filling out the plan, I'm likely the project lead contact. Make myself that. And the plan approver should be the CSSO, Vice President of Student Services. And let's pretend that for this college, that is going to be John Doe. And then our fiscal report approver, this is that CBO, District Budget Manager, or their designee. Fiscal report approver, next, users, and let's say Ryan French, one of our development team. And that's it. 3 contacts, those 3 roles. We can move on to the next section. So this is the actual basic needs strategic program plan. Like I mentioned, your answer should cover your plans on spending from both funding sources, even though we are tracking them separately. Trying to reduce the amount of planning while hitting reporting requirements. So you'll see here that there's a lot of questions. Most of them are multiple choice. You can choose check all that apply for many. A lot of these just to get a sense of what your college already does and what you plan to do. You'll notice that if you click these other buttons, you can explain. And then also you'll notice that this error stepper over here is going to tell you how many questions you have left to fill out. One thing to point out is please ignore these add additional responses buttons. Some programs use them. If you do click one, it's just going to repeat this little question block up here again. You can just hit remove responses and it goes away. So just don't click these. This program doesn't use them. You'll notice that there's a difference here in the type of buttons on these multiple choice questions. Circle usually means choose one. These are single choice, and squares are choose all that apply. The questions are worded that way, but just know that the shape of the circle makes a difference. Then we can keep filling these out. Other. Still multiple choice until we get to the last section. On these, you'll notice if I click on financial stability, it's asking me to explain. Another pop-up there. It'll happen the same if you click the other two. And there's a couple of narrative questions here. And that's it. That is the entire plan. You go down here, hit preview and submit. Submit, and this will start the approval process. So like I mentioned earlier, that plan approver that we put in here, John Doe, who's the CSSO, Vice President of Student Services, would come in here, and if I were to be him, his view would look like this. And he would have the choice to approve or reject. If he rejects, he can ask for changes. It returns it to draft mode. It'll send a message to the project lead contact with whatever he rejects it as, or with whatever reason he has to reject it. If he approves it, he can just go in here and hit approve, and they're all good. So that's the approver, and then of course, if the last step is the project monitor, we're going to navigate back to it. I'm jumping around a little bit here, so apologies about that. So back to this, as you can see, because this person has now approved it, it just needs to be approved by the fund monitor. So I'm going to pretend to be Dalia real quick and approve it as her. And you see the same option here. She can either reject it, ask questions, ask for changes, or she can approve. So now it's been approved by the district and the chancellor's office, submitted, and now this is done. This project plan is submitted and certified. Certified means it's fully approved. One thing that I'd like to point out at this point is you can see the application history, so you can actually see, and this is good if you do revisions. You can see who's requested revisions. You can see who did what when. Pretty useful. And then let's look at fiscal reporting. There's a couple ways to see fiscal reporting. For certified plans, you can actually access fiscal reporting through the button in the plan. You can also click on fiscal reporting on the left-hand sidebar down here. It is now accessible to see fiscal reporting, but first things first, let's see the other plan. This is the first one with that strategy section. This is the other very short plan. Let's take a look at that one. This one, details, very similar, 2 assurances, and you're done. Contacts, there's only 2 contacts. There is no plan approver because there's no plan on this one. So we would just say project lead contact was myself again. And the fiscal report approver will be Ryan French. That's it. Like I said, there's really not a lot of meat on this one. It's mostly just setting up this plan so that we can report 2 different funding sources, and we'll go into details on that in a second. So we hit submit. You'll notice there is no approval process for this one. It automatically becomes certified. And that's pretty much because San Mateo now has 2 available fiscal reports that they can report against. So same thing here. Let's go to the institution. Let's look at San Mateo. College of San Mateo. You'll see there's 2 fiscal reports. So let's look at the first one. They're both going to be the same. Let's look at this one time first. You'll notice these are, oops, switch back to my account. All right, so now you'll see that the College of San Mateo has 2 fiscal reports in here. This one is for that basic needs centers and coordinators, and you'll see that there's Q4 here. That's Nova speak for end of year. Nova treats everything as Qs 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if it's annual reporting, it just says report at Q4. So this just means end of year. You'll see that this is for 21-22. This is a 2-year duration, so you'll do this twice. You'll report at the end of 21-22 and again at the end of 22-23. Same thing in both cases. It's putting in the total amounts per object code. One thing that is different is Nova does treat indirect as a separate cost. Whether or not that's relevant to basic needs, I do not know, but often that's lumped into Outgo or to other Outgo. But you'll see that your total allocation down here is what you're reporting against. It'll draw down against that allocation as you report over the 2 years. If you do want to make additional comments, you can put them in here. And you'll see that the other one is pretty much the same thing. You report against the allocations by object code. And let's say that in the first year, San Mateo was going to spend $50,000 in object code 5,000 and $50,000 in object code, 1,000, missed a 0. They would submit, and that's it. It does need to be approved by that fiscal report approver that we set up on the plan. And again, the Chancellor's Office monitor, but fiscal reporting is pretty much just reporting against your allocation by object code. You do need to do it twice because we are tracking 2 separate accounts. You'll notice it's the one time and the basic needs centers and coordinator support up here. But let's say on this one we spent $50,000 on supplies and materials. Submit report, and we're done with reporting for the year. Do it again next year, and then that's it. So a couple other things to point out about Nova. If you're ever in Nova and you have questions, you can always go down here and click on Help. And you'll see there's a playlist over here of videos. And if you do need to submit a support request, this is a help desk ticket. It's the best way to get help. You can click here and it'll take you to the support request page. Support service desk is operated by the Chancellor's Office and they usually respond within a day. If you do not have a response from them or if you have other issues, please contact your monitors or your program leads at the Chancellor's Office. And that is it. Thank you very much.